Good morning, everyone. It's 9:50 a.m., and I'd like to call to order the teleconference meeting of the Rules, Policy, and Industrial Relations Committee for Thursday, March 24, 2022. We had a schedule change this month, so thank you to everyone who was willing to rearrange their schedule to meet on Thursday instead of our usual Friday morning meeting. Before we begin, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded. Madam Secretary, can you please call the roll?
Thanks and welcome back, everyone. Starting with Director Cochran.
Here.
Director Conroy. Absent. Director Garbarino.
Here.
Director Grosball. Absent. Director Hill.
Here.
Vice Chair Arnold. Absent. Chair Hernandez.
Here.
And President Tirio.
Here.
You have a quorum, and you are also once again a committee of the whole. Also on the line, we have Directors Maston, Parr, Rabbit, Rodoni, and Thier. I'm going to confirm staff. Dennis Mulligan.
Here.
Joe Wire. Joe Wire, are you on the line? I may have dropped off. Chief Engineer, let's see, Ava Bauer-Furbish.
Present.
Kim Manolius.
Present.
Thank you. Dave Rivera.
Good morning, President.
Thank you. Mona Babauta. May not be on the line. Jim Swindler.
Present.
Thank you. Kelly Hopper.
Present.
Thank you. And while I was calling the staff roll call, Director Grosball, have you joined us? Hello, Director Grosball. Welcome. That confirms staff on the line.
And Joe Wire is joined.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So I'd like to remind everyone to mute their phones, please, until after the staff presentation, and remember to unmute and identify yourself when we open up for discussion. You have a comment or a question. If there are any comments or questions, the Secretary or I will call on you accordingly, and following our discussion, we'll ask for any public comment before moving on. Please follow along by referring to the page numbers loaded on the bottom right-hand corner of your meeting packet. And today we're going to begin with agenda item number 3 to approve actions relative to the implementation of an employment recruitment program. Staff report begins on page 3, and Deputy General Manager of Administration and Development, Kelly Hopper, is on the line to present for us today. Kelly, please begin your report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Hernandez, and good morning, everyone. Staff is eager to bring forward this item this morning where we are asking for the approval of a pilot program to help with our recruiting and some of our talent acquisition efforts. Principally, there's four main issues that we're asking for approval. One is for approving a signing bonus for the hire of all new regular full-time positions. Approve the implementation of a signing bonus for our newly created bus operator apprentice program that's offered through the community colleges. Approve an employee referral program, and finally to authorize us to update all of our district policies accordingly. Just to give you a little bit of a background, over the last several years, particularly since the job market boom, it's becoming increasingly difficult for the district to attract a really robust candidate pool. We've been very fortunate that we've been able to attract some wonderful talent in that time, so we're very grateful for that. But getting the robust pools have been becoming increasingly challenging for us. As you would recall, just prior to the pandemic in September of 2019, we actually came forward and asked the board to approve a signing bonus for hard to fill positions. There were certain criteria, and it was a $500 bonus for positions that were hard to fill, and that was principally in some of these engineering, things like that. But just for context, I thought it'd be good for reference. I actually asked Michelle Peroganon, who is our HR manager of recruiting, can you give me some reference of what we were doing in terms of applicant pools prior to the pandemic versus now? And she pulled out 3 classifications quite quickly for me, so kudos to her. And they were like our bus servicer or a bus operator or our patrol officers. She said prior to the pandemic, we were getting 100, 150, 175 applications. we're now getting somewhere between 20 to 30, and in a good case, maybe 35 candidates. So as you can see, our pool has dramatically restricted. And so we've been trying to look for creative ways to continue to attract good talent and try to get people on board. Coupled with a great resignation, we're having some additional challenges that are outside of our control. So there was recently an informal poll that was done by several transit agencies, and the district took part in that. And of that, we were asked, do you offer bonuses, sign-on bonuses, and do you offer employee referrals, and then what do those look like? And so we know that there are other operators in our area particularly, but even throughout the nation, who are trying to do this to attract good candidates and to come on board to work for them. So we want to continue to be competitive. We believe we are the best place to work, but we want to continue to promote that and be competitive in the market when we're perhaps up against some other nearby competitors. So this is why we're recommending a pilot project for about 18 months, going through next September of 2023. We understand that several of these classifications are represented, so we will be engaging with Molly Cabin, our labor attorney, to help us with that meet and confer process. But essentially what we're asking for is signing bonuses, and we split it out between our bus operators and then the rest of the classifications because the hiring process is a little bit different. So what we're recommending is that our bus operators, that they would receive a $1,000 signing incentive at the conclusion of their bus driver training course, which is 13 weeks, and then they would receive a second $1,000 at their 1-year anniversary. For the other job classifications, we are recommending that the committee approve a $1,000 bonus at the conclusion of their probation period, which is about 6 months, and then the second $1,000 that would again be at the 1-year anniversary. So that's for the sign-on bonus for the regular full-time. Now, in terms of our bus operator apprentice program, Mona brought the item to the board at the end of last year, talking about and asking for approval of a bus apprentice program. And one of the pre-apprentice components to that was where there's a program that's now offered by the College of Marin as well as Santa Rosa JC, which will allow candidates who are interested to become bus operators the opportunity to get some free college classes to be part of this program over a semester. And this kind of deals with the soft skills, interpersonal relations, communication, writing, verbal, written, things like that, that would help them with the customer service and the soft skills that are needed to be a really successful driver here at the district. Part of that program is going to include some shadow days. Now, this is an unpaid program for this apprentice program, and so the thought is that we would offer 2 $500 incentives to these pre-apprentice folks. One at the beginning of the program, and the other $500 at the conclusion of the program. This would help offset maybe some college expenses, offset if they have some supplies that they would have to be involved with as part of the schooling, coming to the shadow days, and things like that. So we're offering them $500. Now, those folks, if they were to enter our program, they would then be available for the full-time, regular full-time bonus that I just mentioned just a moment ago. And then the third and final piece is an employee referral. We believe that our employees can be probably our best ambassadors or even our recruiters for the district. If they would share information about the district and their vacancies and opportunities with their peers or friends in the community. And so we're recommending that there would be a $500 referral incentive that would be offered to any regular employee, and that incentive would be paid once the new hire reached their 1-year anniversary with the district. And as you can see in the fiscal impact, given the assumptions that were laid out by Joe Wire and his team, it looks like that the pilot project in year 1 would cost approximately $110,000 given those assumptions. So I am available to answer any questions you might have about this program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kelly, for your presentation. We'll open up for questions or comments from directors. Would anyone like to be recognized for a question or comment? No questions? Okay, Madam Secretary, Can you please recognize anyone from the public wishing to speak on the item?
Yes, we have Mr. Pilpel who'd like to speak on this item. So I'm going to connect the call and have Mr. Pilpel say a few words. Hi, David, you still there?
I am. Can you hear me?
We sure can. Go ahead.
Very good. So on rules item 3, the proposed incentive program, I support the proposed action and commend staff for their creativity in putting this together. My only thought here is that rather than the 18-month proposal, I might limit it to June 30th of 23, 15-month period, so that it coincides with next year's budget, and that you might review this in about a year as you're developing the fiscal 23-24 budget. But whether it's 15 months or 18 months, I think it is worth trying this to see how it impacts recruitment for key positions in the district. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pilpel. Amorad, is there anyone else in line to speak?
We have no other speakers.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, Kelly, thank you very much. And Ms. Buganon, thank you very much for your efforts to put this proposal together. It's no secret that we are in a crunch in terms of being able to recruit in this very unique time. There are lots of things that are making it even more difficult than normal. So I appreciate your efforts to come up with some creative ideas. Also, do want to say for the record that it's important not to lose sight of the fact that we need to take care of our existing employees as best as we can, and hopefully that we can close the gaps on outstanding issues with our current groups and in a fair and equitable way. So with that, I will entertain a motion on agenda item number 3 to approve actions relative to the implementation of the employment recruitment program.
Enthusiastically, I make the motion, Barb.
And I'll second it.
Thank you very much. I have a motion and a second. Madam Secretary, please do a roll call vote.
Thank you. Voting. We're going to be calling everyone since it's a committee of the whole. So item number 3, starting with Director Arnold, is absent. Director Conroy is absent. Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice is absent. Director Grosboll. Director Grosboll is absent. Director Hernandez.
Aye. Aye.
Oh, there he is. Sorry about that. Director Hernandez.
Aye.
Director Mastin.
Aye.
Director Milgar is absent. Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Rodoni.
Aye.
Thank you. Director Snyder is absent. Director Stephanie is absent. Director Thier.
Aye.
Thank you. Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Theriault.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 11 ayes.
Thank you very much. That motion passes. And this brings us to item number 4 on the agenda, which is to approve codification of the medical benefits policy in the Human Resources Guide. Staff report begins on page 7, and Kelly will be back with us to present this report. Kelly, please feel free to begin.
Thank you, Chair Hernandez, and hopefully this won't be quite as long as my previous one. My apologies. This is essentially a document that we're asking the committee and the board to codify actions that have already been approved by the board in previous actions pertaining to, for instance, to the medical benefit program, various labor settlements. And this is related to our medical benefits for our represented and administrative retirees. So this does not include our bus operators. This is everybody but our bus operators, as well as survivors of active employees. And it's a resolution essentially with the recent settlement, or hopefully with the recent settlement of the electricians contract. Now is the time to bring this a codified, updated document with relation to our medical policy. And this is often a helpful guiding document for our HR staff as well as our employees and retirees into determining eligibility and levels of benefit. So the main changes that were made to the document from the 2010, outside of the updates that were with the labor, is the transition where the district recently moved from self-insured medical to the CalPERS medical system. So there's some references that needed to be changed in terms of that, as well as some associated actions that were part of that needed to be updated. Things like the premium sharing, how we handle the administrative function of premium sharing, how we handle the reimbursement process for retirees, whether they be in the CalPERS retirement system or some other system. So this is, again, as I mentioned, it's just codifying actions that you've already approved and putting it in a guiding document for our reference. And I'm available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Chair Hernandez?
No, sorry, muted myself.
No
Kelly,
problem.
thank you very much for your presentation. And now's the time for questions and comments. Are there any questions or comments from directors on this item number 4? All right, hearing none, Madam Secretary, please allow the public to comment if they wish to on item number 4.
Thank you. We have no speakers for item number 4.
Okay, thank you very much. No comments, no speakers. At this time, I'll entertain a motion on item number 4 to approve codification of the medical benefits policy in the Human Resources Guide.
Madam Chair, I'll move the item.
Thank you very much. Is there a second, please?
Hill, all second.
Thank you very much. The item has been moved and seconded. Madam Secretary, would you please do a roll call vote?
Thank you. We're voting on item number 4 with the first and second, starting with Director Arnold, who's absent. Director Conroy is also absent. Director Garbarino.
Aye.
Director Giudice is absent. Director Grosball.
Aye.
Director Hernandez.
Aye.
Director Mastin.
Aye.
Director Milgar is absent. Director Parr.
Aye.
Director Rabbit.
Aye.
Director Redoni.
Aye.
Director Snyder is absent. Director Stephanie is also absent. Director Thier. Director Thier? We might have lost Director Thier. Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. We have 10 ayes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That motion is adopted, and that brings us to item number 5 on the agenda, which is the annual progress and status report and update on the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program. Staff report begins on page 17, and DBE Program Administrator Arden Davenport will present this report to us. Tina, please begin your report. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Board. Chair Hernandez, Director Terrio, and district staff. Thank you for the opportunity to share with you the annual update and status report on the district's Disadvantaged Business Enterprise, or as I'll refer to as DBE, program. There are no recommendations requested, as this report is for informational purposes only. This annual update does cover activities from federal fiscal year 2020 through 2021 that began on October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021. This reporting period is the second year of the district's triennial overall DBE goal, that is a 3.2%. And if you'll like to follow along with me, I will call out the sections that I am updating. But as a reminder, a DBE firm is defined as a for-profit small business concern that is at least 51% owned by one or more individuals who are both socially and economically disadvantaged in the case of a corporation. The presumed socially and economically disadvantaged individual or individuals must manage daily operations, show ownership of control, and whose firm annual gross receipt cap over the previous 3 years does not exceed what's now 28.48 million, or as adjusted for inflation by the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Transportation, as I'll refer to as USDOT. Individuals that are presumed to be socially and economically disadvantaged under the DBE program include Americans that are Black, Hispanic, Native, Asian Pacific, Subcontinent Asian Pacific, and women. It is important to know that the DBE program is operated by 3 administrations: the Federal Transit Administration, the Federal Highway Administration, and the Federal Aviation Administration. So grantees or recipients are required to submit their overall triennial DBE goals to the applicable operating administration by August 1st, and that's according to the submittal schedule. Recipients are expected to meet these overall DBE goals each year of the triennial period, or complete a shortfall analysis and corrective action plan if they fall short of the goal. So if you are following along with me, I'm on Section A, the Federal Transit Administration, as I'll refer to as FTA, updates to FTA regs. The USDOT issued a final rule on December 14th of 2020, and that was to amend the small business size cap of $23.98 million to $26.29 million. And this is only applicable to FTA and FHWA assisted work. The size cap is much higher for Federal Aviation Administration. The final rule did take effect on January 13th of 2021. However, just recently, the beginning of March of 2022, the size cap was increased from $26.29 million to $28.48 million. Again, this is only applicable to FTA and FHWA contracts, assisted work, excuse me. There are no other amendments to the regulations or guidance that was issued during the federal fiscal year reporting period of 2020-2021. On Section B, the Federal Highway Administration update, as I'll refer to as FHWA. The district is a subrecipient of FHWA funds through Caltrans, and as a local agency, the district does support Caltrans in meeting its statewide goal by setting DBE goals on contracts that are funded in whole or in part with FHWA funds. So the district does adopt the Caltrans DBE program and is required to submit DBE goal methodology to Caltrans for review and approval before establishing any DBE goals on FHWA assisted contracts. So Caltrans DBE goal for federal fiscal year 2020 to 2021 was 17.6%, of which Caltrans projected it would meet this goal by 13.4% race conscious and 4.2% race neutral. In simple terms, race conscious means that a DBE participation was achieved by establishing a DBE goal on a contract, whereas race neutral, gender neutral measures just means that that DBE participation was achieved without setting or establishing a DBE goal on the contract. So on August 1st, 2021, Caltrans was required to submit its proposed overall triennial goal for 2022 through 2024 to the Federal Highway Administration. And this proposed goal is 22.2%, of which 18.3% is race conscious and 3.9% is race neutral. So the district did not award any new FHWA assisted contracts during this reporting period. However, staff did award change orders or any amendments that were value changes on existing FHWA assisted contracts. So the district does recognize any new work that requires a change order or a value change, amendment for a value change. Those are considered to be new awards, and this might make a little bit more sense when we get to the FHWA progress table. I'm on Section C. This section is a status report on the district's small business enterprise, as I'll refer to as SBE, our SBE program. The district does utilize this SBE program to foster in that DBE participation by setting SBE contract-specific goals only on FTA-assisted or district-funded contracts, or where there's race and gender-neutral methods employed. So during the federal fiscal year 2020-2021, district staff did establish 2 SBE contract-specific goals on 2 different contracts, and the primes were able to obtain DBE participation on both of those contracts. So the district SBE program has been pretty effective in attracting disadvantaged and small business participation. Staff will continue to analyze contracts that have subcontracting opportunities as an effort to establish as many SBE goals on applicable contracts as possible. Moving to Section B, the annual progress report on the district's diversity program for contracts. This section is a breakdown of DBE participation in districts' purchasing and contracting activities from the three funding sources, that's FTA, FHWA, and district funds. Calculating the dollar amounts for awards and commitments are the means for meeting a contract-specific or overall triennial goal. So the district only establishes overall triennial DBE goals on FTA-assisted contracts only. So this is different from establishing a DBE contract-specific goal on FHWA-assisted contract. And hopefully I didn't just confuse you. The district's overall DBE goal for federal fiscal year 2020-2021 was 3.2%. So the data in the FTA table is taken from the uniform reports that are submitted to FTA each June 1st and December 1st. So June and December of 2021. Again, these calculations are based only on contract dollars that were awarded to DBEs or commitments made to DBE subcontractors. So the district did award $8,809,375 to primes, and of that amount, $125,655 was awarded to DBEs. So that's equivalent to 1.4% DBE participation. Therefore, the district did fall short of meeting that 3.2% goal. Before I move into the table for FHWA and district-wide, I'd like to just touch on the reasons for the district shortfall. One of the reasons is the continuous effects of the pandemic. So in February and March of 2021, the district was fortunate to receive a substantial amount of additional relief funds under the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriations Act of 2021. So some of those additional FTA funds were used for eligible bus and ferry operating expenses. However, this resulted in a very small portion of funds being paid to DBE firms. So recipients are required to report any eligible relief funds that could be spent with DBEs. Another reason for the shortfall is the limited number of FTA-assisted contracts that were awarded during the reporting period and the availability of DBEs to work on our ferry contracts, as that seemed to be what was awarded, mostly awarded during the reporting period. So the FTA funds not normally received, coupled with the limited number of FTA-assisted contracts, is the result for the shortfall. I just want to remind you that the district cannot be penalized for failing to meet its overall goal as long as the DB program is administered in good faith. And so a little bit of a district effort, staff efforts to correct, to try to ensure that we meet the 3.2% goal for next year, which is current. We're currently in the last year of the federal fiscal year for the 3.2% goal. Some measures include increasing our outreach efforts, informing DBEs of contracting opportunities and how to find those solicitations, how to register as a vendor on the district's procurement portal, encouraging interstate DBE certification, hosting a lot of networking events on how to do business with the district, and connecting these DBE firms with prime contractors, consultants, and even other DBE firms that they could possibly form a partnership with. And also, we are connecting our ferry staff with DBEs and other small businesses to see how we can increase competition on our ferry contracts with more DBE and small business participation. So jumping back to the table for Federal Highway Administration, the district, this tells a different story. The district did extremely well by awarding $3,808,172. And these again was in change orders and or any value changes in amendments on existing contracts. So of this amount, $2,489,238 was awarded to DBE firms. That's equivalent to 65.37%. And so the reason the district did so well is because some of these contracts were initially awarded to DBE prime consultants. And so that new work, the new work is a new award amount. And some of that work did go to, that additional work went to DBE sub-consultants. So that's why we did so well there. Looking at the district-wide table, this is a summary of district purchases and contracts paid to DBE firms, as well as prompt payments made to DBE firms regardless of the funding source. So this is different from awards and commitments. These are actual dollars paid to DBE firms, whether directly from the district or from prompt payments that the prime have made to their DBE subcontractors. And looking at the table, dollars paid to minority DBE vendors, so these are your prime minority vendors, was $2,587,933, and $155,564 was paid to your non-minority DBE firms, which are your women-owned firms. Prompt payments reported by the primes paid to minority-owned DBEs was $31,389, and $982 was paid to non-minority DBE firms, again, your women-owned firms. The total dollars paid to DBE firms in the federal fiscal year 2020-2021 was $2,775,868. So that concludes the district's annual progress and status report and update on the DBE program, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much for your comprehensive report. As usual, colleagues, are there any questions or comments on item number 5?
Hi, it's Director Sear. Oh, go ahead. I'll go next.
Director Sear, please go ahead.
Hi. I just wanted to make a comment. I wanted to commend Ms. Davenport on her work. I know it's very difficult during COVID and with the size of the contract to meet the one requirement, but she's exceeded the other requirements. And I have been going to events that she has either been sponsoring on behalf of the district, DBE events, or she has been a part of. And I wanted to commend her on her work and the outreach she has done on behalf of the DBE and SBE community, and also encourage other directors, if you haven't done so, to attend an event and see the amazing work that she and the district are doing in order to encourage DBE and SBE firms to participate in bridge board contracts.
Thank you. I appreciate that comment very much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Director Tier. Any other comments from the board?
Director Hill.
Director Hill, please go ahead.
Just real quickly, Ms. Davenport, this is very interesting. One of the things that I noticed on the district-wide, the very end when we talk about DBEs and non-minority women-owned business, I know a few years ago there was a problem with women-owned business ghosting, which are really male-owned, but they've had sort of a woman standing in. I'll put it that way. And it appears to me, from looking at these numbers, that a lot of improvements have been made in ensuring that these women-owned businesses are truly women-owned businesses. Is that right?
Yes, the certifiers are tasked with the responsibility of monitoring DBE certification. And so really going on site visits and reviewing the annual and 5-year documents that are required to be submitted in order to keep DBE certification. So really the certifying agencies are doing a pretty good job, or at least trying to ensure that the spirit and intent of the DBE program is carried out, and that women or the wives or sisters, Caucasian women, aren't fronting trying to qualify for DBE certification. So really the certifying agencies that's a huge task for them to ensure that this program remains to fulfill what it's intended to do.
Thank you. You're doing a great
You're welcome.
job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
This is Director Parr.
Please go ahead, Barb.
All right, thank you, Sabrina. Artemis, you know that I'm one of your big fans, and I think the more that we learn about what you do, the more of a fan we become. I too have attended a couple of your events, and when you put, I mean, the $2 million or almost $3 million number doesn't look real big in comparison with the amount of money that we spend on contracts. But when you put that together with the chart, I don't think you've given it this year, but I think you gave it to us and did quite a comprehensive study last year on whether or not DBEs are available in the Bay Area in different areas. When you put that all together, it's really quite clear that the outreach that you and your department does is above and beyond. I mean, I am always just amazed at how thorough and how much, if I were, and I do have a business that none of you need, but if I had something that was needed at the bridge, you almost call me up and hold my hand and say, okay, come on, you know, we need you, come and be part of us. And so I really appreciate the step. I think it would be easy to sit back and say, okay, we're the Golden Gate Bridge, you know, come and get us. But you don't, you go and get them. And I really, really appreciate that. Thank you for all you do. And every year it gets better.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate your comments. And there's plenty of opportunity if you want to attend. There's 3 outreach events happening in April. If you go to our website, you can check that out. And please come and join. And I thank you. I know some of the directors have participated in some of the outreach events, so I really appreciate your attendance and your support.
And I know
thank you very much.
And you're so good about making sure that we get the flyers too, because most of us don't actually have much time to go into the website. And so when we get it as an email, it reminds us and it makes us a little more involved. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, they will keep coming until you tell me to stop. So thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Any other directors have comments for Timo?
Madam Chair, Director Terrio.
Please go ahead, Director Terrio, Mr. President.
Yeah, and I'm going to jump in on the train of compliments from Ms. Davenport too. I'm always impressed by both your presentation and your performance. And I realize it can seem quite a bit of an uphill slog, but we, I certainly, and I've heard now, I'm sure others appreciate that you undertake that slog in good spirit, and we encourage you to keep after it for whatever success we do achieve. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Director Terrio. Any other directors have comments or questions? All right, I will chime in and just say that, just another comment of support and thanks for everything that you do, Timo, for the district and the DBE program. It's clear that we are greatly appreciative of everything that you do, and very fortunate that you're with us doing what you do. In addition to comments that were previously made, I just want to point out that Tina's a superstar, but not just for the district. I want to acknowledge the fact that she is not just a leader in as far as DBE for the district, but she is throughout the transit districts of the Bay Area. She's taken a role of leadership and provides a great example in terms of lobbying for and working along the DBE agenda for all transit districts in the larger Bay Area. And, thank you very much for doing that. And special thanks also for your important participation and support of the diversity and equity committee here at the district. Your input is invaluable, and it's making us a better place. So thank you very much.
Thank you
and
so
with
much.
that, thank you, Tima. Thank you so much. So this was an informational item. No vote is required, but I'd like to give the public an opportunity to speak on the item if they wish. Madam Secretary, is there anyone wishing to speak on this item from the public?
Yes, we do. We have a speaker. We have Mr. Pilpel who would like to comment on this item. In a second, let me connect them. Hey, David, are you still there with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
We sure can. Go ahead.
Okay. So on this item on the DBE program report, let's see. I know that the district participates with MTC and other agencies on outreach certification and whatnot. So I would suggest that whatever deficiencies is the wrong word, whatever shortfalls exist in participation are not unique to the district and its contracts, but reflect the marketplace of vendors, materials, and ability to contract. So it's not just district issues, and so there is a broader context with other agencies and other efforts for outreach and certification. I also very much believe that the influx of federal funds in the last 2 years has made meeting established goals more difficult, and that's what's most reflective here. It's not that there's any intent by the district or vendors, contractors, et cetera, to not meet guidelines. That's at least my sense. And finally, staff discussed the various federal agencies involved. I think I heard FAA, FTA, and HWA. Perhaps it would make sense in a future federal advocacy program the next time the legislative program comes up for review. And this is just a thought, but it may be a little too revolutionary. If the feds had overall DOT guidelines that weren't agency specific, but talked about how these programs work for all federal transportation funding, that might make it easier to comply. Because it seems to me that there's just a whole lot of effort that goes into outreach and certification and forms and documentation and signatures and back and forth that doesn't actually go to work and hiring a diversity of folks. It just goes into a lot of paperwork. And so consolidating and making those programs more meaningful at the federal level might be something that others could join in. Just a thought for the legislative program. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pilpel. Madam Secretary, do we have any other public speakers?
We have no other speakers.
Thank you very much. This brings us to the end of our agenda today for this committee. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Barr, so moved.
Bill also moved. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll take one of those as a second. Are there any objections to this motion to adjourn? Hearing no objections, this concludes the meeting of the Rules, Policy, and Industrial Relations Committee. Thank you very much, colleagues, for being here today. It is 10:34 a.m. Thank you.